Corey Anderson has taken some swings and some misses here. And he got into a verbal confrontation with Jon Jones over the weekend that was captured on video. And I got to tell you, I liked it. I really did. Corey Anderson, look, this guy's out way over his skis. Corey Anderson being in the same conversation as a world title fight or a main event or a Jon Jones is no, we are not there. However, Corey thinks we are. Corey sees himself and the guy he's looking in the mirror thinks that guy's a pretty tough fighter. Well, not for nothing, but you miss every shot that you don't take, right? So for Corey to have these grand visions of himself, you have to start somewhere. For Corey to go out and start a confrontation with Jon Jones, and I should let you guys know for anybody that didn't see it, there was a guardrail. Corey never crossed it, never even tried to. He was never within 20 feet of Jon Jones, and when he went and saw him, he never attempted for it to turn physical. He threw a little bit of chatter at him, and Jon responded through a little chatter back. That's responsible for me. I mean, those are not guys that are out there trying to get into some kind of street justice. And in Corey's case, you bring all your buddies, you ambush a guy, and make sure somebody has a camera, right? That would be a scumbag move. I've had that happen to me. That's not what he did. That's not what he did at all. Jon was in town. He saw an opportunity, whether he's out over his skis or not. He's trying to insert himself into a conversation. He's got a level of wins. He's an Ultimate Fighter winner. He's been around for a little while. He's a good-looking guy. He's a young guy. I mean, he checks a few boxes. Not as many as he thinks he checks, but he checks a few boxes. And now all of a sudden, he gets the champ to give him a response, and it's not in a hostile manner. I liked it. I mean, I liked it in that regard. Corey has a couple of problems, and I'm using Corey Anderson by name because this just happened, and his name is Corey Anderson, but I think that you could relate this story to many guys. They will have their little fight career, and they will hang out at their little gyms with their little coaches and their little teammates, and their only interaction they get with the world is their own social media accounts, okay? Generally, a guy's own social media account is going to be 80% positive. They're your people, your fans, and your followers. Well, if that's the only universe you have, a drive to the gym with your coaches and your teammates telling you how great you are, and then social media that's 80-20 in favor of you, you can very quickly start to mark out for your own gimmick. That very quickly can become your new reality. You're in a closed society, and you can very quickly think that you're the guy, even if you're light years from being the guy. So once you mark out for your gimmick, once you buy into something that is not reality-based, you then start making demands within that. You start being offered fights and opportunities and say, no, that fight doesn't make sense. If you are a fighter, if you are a trainer or a manager or a teammate or a coach, and you ever find yourself saying the words, no, that fight doesn't make sense, stop yourself. Those are the words that are going to lead down the wrong path. I have never seen everybody wants to use this. It comes up all the time, and when it does, you got to put the reins on them pretty quick. Stop them right there. Say, show me an example in MMA. Show me a time over history where this has worked. What is the paradigm for you doing and saying what you're going to do? What is the paradigm for you thinking you have the power to control who the matchups are? That you have the ability to take control and become the pro. What is it? Show me an example where that's ever worked out. Those are the beginning 5 phrases, 5 words to any statement or idea that is about to go the wrong way. At one point, I was hard on Corey Anderson because he was talking about he wanted a title shot, and in the same sentence, he was saying, this could be my last fight, I'm going to retire. Corey was upset with me, and he never told me he was upset with me, but we saw each other at an event, and he looked over at me to let me know he was upset with me. Yeah, Corey, message delivered. I'm still right. I'm still right because don't forget, the only person that you have to impress and get the approval of, the only person, is the one with the power of the pen to put your name on the contract and then put Jon Jones's name on the contract. In this case, if you're at light heavyweight and you want a title shot. When you are sending a mixed message, such as, I may be done, I may take my ball and go home for any reason, whether you're unhappy or you're worried about something more severe like CT, for whatever reason, if you're on your way out of the store and the product's going to be gone, I'm not putting you on the top shelf. I'm putting a different product on the top shelf and you are moving to the bottom because you are going to be gone anyway. according to you, and I have to take you at your word. So some of these messages do get a little bit off. I respect that Corey, like Babe Ruth, walked out on the mound and points where he's going to put the ball. Puts the ball there, he looks like a hero. If he doesn't, he looks like a fool. I respect that he took the risk to do it. But let's get that messaging a little bit clearer. If behind the scenes you were saying that fight does not make sense for me, that fight does not make sense for my career, if you're using those words, all the promoter here, he doesn't want to do it my way. If somebody is giving me attitude now, I can't put the belt around him. I've had enough champions become closet champions. I've had enough champions hide with that strap. Make up injuries, make up illness, avoid opponents, kick the can down the road so that they can keep telling their buddies that they're the champion of the world. I've had enough guys do that. If a guy's giving me a hard time when he has no power, he is not the main event, he is not a marquee fighter, he's not the guy I need or lean on to go do media, and he's still giving me a hard time, I just can't put the strap around him. I just can't do it. And this has been going on from the beginning of time. This isn't a new concept. Vince McMahon deals with this problem. Okay? It's called creative control. And Vince will make sure he maintains creative control of his athletes. He will sit down, he'll work a contract out. Here's your fee. You show up. Here's what you get. Here's my participation. Now I'm going to take it from here. I am going to take the storyline from here. Not everything gets to be moonlight and canoes. Somebody's got to be the good guy. Somebody's got to be the bad guy. Somebody gets to be the smart guy. Somebody has to be the stupid guy. Somebody has to be the dense guy. Somebody gets to be the funny guy. We need all types. I am responsible to get a return on my investment. So I will do what I said I would do. I will set up the cameras. I will let you have your fun, and I will make sure you make a living at your chosen profession. But outside of that, I have to bring in the return. It's up to me. I'm seeing fighters in this sport saying the promoter must be nice to me. The promoter must be nice to me. What are you talking about? That can't possibly be a requirement. A promoter is to do what he said he would do, pay you on time, make sure the check doesn't rubberize. That's actually a pretty new concept in the world of combat. The dirtiest, filthiest sport, if you look at the history of it, ever. Ever. Not anymore. Commissions, licenses, bonds. Very secure business. If the promoter can be honest, great. If the promoter could give you an opportunity and make sure that you were on a main card, oh my gosh, wouldn't even ask for that. Wow. The promoter could make you a main event or a co-main event and give you a title opportunity. Oh my gosh. Again, wouldn't even ask for it. What an incredible opportunity. Now the promoter's got to be nice. Now I get to pick and choose my fights. I get to decide what makes sense. Corey, if it doesn't make dollars, it doesn't make sense. And nobody in the history of times ever said, hey, I got to stop what I'm doing tonight. Corey Anderson's fighting. And I'm not giving you a hard time for your skills. By the way, I see the skills. I'm a fellow wrestler just like I see the skills. I saw him on The Ultimate Fighter on day one. I now see the attitude, and I see the grit, and I see the toughness. What is missing is the attitude. A champion fights anyone, anywhere, at any time, or he's not a champion. The end. If a contender is not willing to do that, we cannot make him the champion. And before you stop it, but I wouldn't do that as champion. I would fight anybody as champion. It's different. Right now I'm a contender, so I'm living by a separate set of rules. You might even be telling the truth. That might be exactly what's in your heart. But if I'm the promoter, I have to look at the evidence that's in front of me. If I get burned once, if I make a phone call once, if I get told no once, if I have a fighter I have under contract who I will pay on time, every time exactly what I told him I would pay, and I give him an opportunity and tell him this is what I would like you to do for me, and you then offer your opinion, and that opinion is adverse to my wishes, I want a yes and you tell me no, to be quite specific, to put it in very simple terms for you. I can't trust you. I just can't. And you may go, but wait, I'm an honorable guy. If you're an honorable guy, then honor the contract. Contract says I need to offer you 3 fights a year. What I need to hear from you is a yes when I call. And that seems to be a little bit of a push and pull, and that's something that everybody can work through. And Corey is not unique here. The reason Corey's getting talked about is Corey did a good job of making sure he's being talked about. Before anybody thinks this is a Corey Anderson session, it's not. Corey is doing a lot of things right. He is calling for fights that are way over his skis and way over his record. I understand that. But that's how you get there. You got to climb that ladder at some point. You got to make a little bit of noise. Squeaky wheel gets the grease. Whether he's being a squeaky wheel and he's willing to get a little grease, or if his reality is off and he thinks that he belongs in there with Jon. Whatever. But there has to be a level of understanding when you don't get it. There just does. When you go, man, I've done everything right, and this makes sense. Says who? Well, that's what my coaches said. That's what my teammates said. I looked at the rankings myself, and that's what I say. Then you're focused on the wrong guy. Well, I don't know about that. The people on Twitter told me this, and there's 4 or 5 people DM'd me on Facebook. I'm pretty sure I'm right. No, you're not. You're looking to appease the wrong people. There is one person that makes this decision. But it's not a matter of what Chael is saying, and it's damn sure not a matter of what your social media or your inbox is saying, or what your coaches or your teammates or frankly the rankings said. The one person who makes the decision has been doing this for 19 years. If you were wise, you would study those 19 years and you would know what makes that person put your name down. So many times I will hear the concept of, this doesn't make sense. I have everything to lose and I have nothing to win. And there's such a power when somebody makes that statement. I mean, they really feel invigorated when they make that in the fight business. I have everything to lose and I have nothing to... What are you talking about? We got a contract. It's an ass-whipping contest. And by the way, we're prize fighters. Is there money on the line? Great. Is the money with the... We said the money was going to be... Oh, it is? Oh, maybe even a little more? Okay, great. I'll be there. That's how this works. And while I would challenge you, because I see people get invigorated on this, I see them getting power, hanging their hat on the argument of I have everything to lose and I have nothing to gain, and therefore this makes no sense. I will tell you right now, whenever somebody asks me who I wanted to fight, the most honest way I could possibly tell you is the biggest name in the largest venue, who is smaller and worse than me for the biggest paycheck. I want the easiest guy for the most money. That is my answer. So if you're telling me what makes sense and that the rankings have it right because they make sense and they want to offer you a guy who's lower, go get your money. Go get your money. That's it. Because I will challenge you at some point when you're invigorated and you're willing to die on the hill of this doesn't make sense. I will challenge you historically to show me somebody that worked out for. You will fail. I will then show you somebody right off the top of my head who it did work out for. Have you guys heard of a young fighter named Daniel Cormier? Daniel Cormier was to co-headline an event. At the top of the bill was Ronda Rousey. Daniel Cormier had no opponent. Daniel Cormier was in line to fight for a world championship. They brought a guy in who was a barista at the store at Starbucks. At the time that Dana White called him, he had his apron on behind the counter and his manager was upset that he was taking a call. Dana overheard the manager and said, "Will you fight Daniel Cormier in 8 days?" And the guy said, "Yes, I would. His name is Patrick Cummins." And Dana said, "Is that your manager I hear in the background?" And Patrick said, "Yes, it is. I need to get off the phone." And Dana said, "No. You need to look at her, take your apron off, and say, 'I quit. I'm in the UFC.'" And he did. And Pat walked outside and got on his bicycle because at that time in his financial life, he could not afford a car. He pedaled home. He called his coaches, and he went to the gym. Before you think that's a cool Pat Cummins story, make sure you understand Daniel Cormier was the #1 contender. He was called to fight a guy who was a barista at the time. You want to talk about something that doesn't make sense? And guess what happened to Daniel after that fight? A fight that didn't make sense, a fight that couldn't lift him, a fight that couldn't send him anywhere because the guy wasn't ranked in from. All these things that you fighters want to say, this makes sense. I'm sure I've thought about it. This makes sense. Guess what Daniel Cormier did next? He went and fought for a world championship that, oh, by the way, broke pay-per-view records, which, oh, by the way, changed his life. So I know you're willing to die on that hill. I know that it just makes sense to you that you should be fighting somebody ranked in front of you and you should have a good placement on the card and all these wonderful things. And if it's not absolutely wonderful for you, then it doesn't make sense. I understand that. But if I ask you somebody over the history of time who's taken that stance and it worked out for them, you are going to draw a blank. And you're going to die on that hill. And people will forget you quickly. Or take the Daniel Cormier approach. I got a date, I got a contract. You choose the opponent. See you then.